and welcome to the Observations podcast, hosted by Democracy Volunteers. I'm Matt Davis, the Special International Elections Correspondent for the Observation podcast. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by an international guest who's come over to the UK to observe a Scottish parliamentary by-election. We have a rare opportunity to discuss some observation work being done by other groups of observers. I'm here with Ivan Shukshin. As election observers who are visiting the UK from Lithuania as Russian emigres, we're interested to learn about your experiences observing some areas that we haven't observed. So, let's take, for example, Russia, although I know you've also observed Azerbaijan and Georgia and other places that we haven't necessarily gotten round to for one reason or another. So, starting with Russia, what are the main issues with Russian elections that you've observed?
Hello, everyone. The main issue is that it's a total fraud, mostly, and you can't say it's free and fair because it's not free in terms of right to be in the ballot, and it's not free in the way you control voting. So, and so of course, it's not fair during the counting process. So, and sometimes it's violent even.
So what are some of the things that you've seen, I suppose, that kind of impact that fairness and, I suppose, freedom as well? So I know you've mentioned issues in the counting process. What have you observed in that?
Well, actually, there are so many issues that it's hard to explain everyone. They are unique, but for example, observers are not allowed to be near the counting table, so they can't see marks on the ballots, and they have to believe, and sometimes they are punished for coming to the table, and they are grabbing. Police are trying to remove them from the polling station, and sometimes the police can't do it without a court decision. And they are doing it via court. They falsify some. They write like evidences that we saw he interfered with voters, but it's a lie, and they just say it, and that's how they remove independent. Commission member or independent observer from observing.
So, I suppose, why do you think Russian elections have failed to achieve democratic aims? Is it just that there has always been these kind of issues impacting freedom and fairness of these elections?
I think the key point is that at first Putin's terms, economical situation was quite good, and everyone got abstained from political life, and they missed that critical point when the power was seized very well.
Okay.
So, like Alexei Navalny and others, they tried to start massive movement in 2011, but it was already late. So they spoiled the whole system by that time. Putin started in his first term, during his first term. So
Russia now, what role does the media have? Do you think the population in general believes what they see in Russian media?
It's hard to answer because during the war, all independent media were banned, blocked, claimed foreign agents, and their websites were blocked. So this whole area has changed during the war. And so now And I'm not talking about media, but about social media as well, like Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Everything is banned. So of course people feel that, and they are not stupid. They feel that everything is biased to pro-Kremlin position, but it does affect the way they perceive the reality, and sometimes they don't want to be in this opposition to the to mainstream, so they got abstained from political life as well.
Right, so you think kind of most people, in reaction to some issues with it, is just to kind of disengage and just
Yes,
let political life be someone else's,
yeah.
well, role, I suppose.
So they know that it's a dangerous thing, it's a dirty thing. So,
You mentioned a bit about the war, and I was wondering what impact has that had? Obviously, you said it's kind of led to this clamping down on any independent media. Has it had any other impacts on Russian elections?
well, Kremlin tries to bring these soldiers to elections, but usually they fail. People don't like them. They are stupid. They are violent, and they just see it. So I think they failed this mission to incorporate these heroes into political life. 'Cause they,
Okay, so are people showing up to the polling stations kind of as dressed out, as their soldiers?
no, I mean as the candidates.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah.
They want to put them into the ballot.
Right, okay, but from what you understand, at least, people haven't been receptive to that. They're not.
No,
Happy with that.
they don't win.
Yeah. Okay.
They are not popular, and maybe they feel it.
Is that a is that a sign of kind of unpopularity or the lack of popularity of the war in Ukraine in Russia, or is that just
Of course, it's not popular. Maybe 25% is an active supporter. But you can. It's hard to make opinion polls in Russia because sometimes it's illegal for having a wrong answer. So, but if you ask them, say, we have an extra billion of rubles. What should we spend it to? To education, to the war, or something else? And the war got just a few percent. Yeah.
okay? I know in kind of other conversations we've had, you've mentioned that anti-war candidates have been kind of persecuted by the Russian state, right?
Yeah, Nadezhdin was the anti-war candidate, and so, what's the question?
I was just asking you for kind of say a few examples of that because I know we've mentioned it as you were saying then.
Yeah, he was anti-war, but he was so slick. He's kind of a part of a system. He's very wise. So, but he still was anti-war. Nevertheless, he didn't get to the ballot.
So even someone who can work within the system struggles if they express
Yeah,
a distant
he was a
viewpoint.
municipal deputy in Moscow region. He tries to find the way, but if you are anti-war, everything is forbidden.
And so kind of about social media, you've mentioned it already, but is there any chance for alternative viewpoints to get through on that front, or not really?
Oh, VPN is a very popular thing in Russia because this censorship was introduced very during 3 years, so everyone had time to be prepared, but it's very easy for young men, but it's not so easy for elderly people. So they need help. They are affected by propaganda very well.
So we'll move on and just talk a bit about some other kind of election observation experiences you've had. So I know you've observed it in countries like Azerbaijan and Georgia
In Armenia,
and Armenia. Can you just tell us a bit about those experiences? What kind of things have you found, and how healthy you think their democracies are at the moment?
as for Armenia, my first observation was 7 years ago, right after the revolution. It was a bit strange, a bit weird that the same commissions at polling stations, they accidentally started to count, not as they were told to, just they just counted votes without any fraud. But so the same people, but without any fraud. That was fantastic. And Armenia, they have online video broadcasting from each polling station. It's not a case in Scotland, but it works in Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Russia. So Armenia was the first democratic country which I observed online. And as for Azerbaijan, they have broadcasting from each sixth polling station, but it's they do not have free and fair elections. They and it's so strange that they put it online, and we can observe it. We can see the whole polling time and calculate and count how many people voted and compare it to official results. And we see that it differs sometimes twice. One polling station, they got about 700 voters. It was a lot of queues, but it was only 300 in the protocol.
Okay, right.
So they just forged a protocol without any connection with the how many people voted.
Okay, those are some quite interesting observations that you've had there. Yeah.
It's very interesting to observe online because you don't have to travel. It's very cheap. And everyone can observe elections in Azerbaijan, at least while it's open for everyone.
So they kind of broadcast that kind of so that like anyone in the world can view that?
There is a specific website. It was opened right 5 minutes prior the voting start, but still it's open. Maybe if they find that someone observe using it, they will ban it, like in Russia. They banned it in 2021, right before parliamentary elections. But still we were able to get the success in Russia.
Yes. How have you handled those difficulties of having to adapt to, I suppose, restrictions on the ways that you've been observing? Because I know it used to be possible to observe physically in Russia, and then that stopped happening. And then similarly, they've clamped down on these video feeds.
Okay, we always adapt. Well, every year they change legislation and they restrict observer rights, like right to see the documents of the commission or to make videos or photos. I know it's forbidden in Scotland, but in Russia it's very you need it to prove something happened. So every elections we adapt, we look through the legislation changes and we find the way to be observers. Say if you are not allowed to be an observer, we found a way that one can observe being a financial representative of a candidate.
Okay.
So they limit observer rights, but still we find a way how to observe at least a bit of this position.
Yeah.
So and it's we are happy that we can find it.
What are there any kind of challenges that you think are coming up for yourselves as observers in some of these countries?
Challenges. Well, as for Russia, the main challenge was when we left Russia, because some of observers, independent observers, now they are in Russia, and we are in contact. We're trying to help them to study this legislation, to be prepared for the observation. So it's hard to. You're losing grip when you left the country. So and maybe the observers inside the country they lose some belief that we can help them. So and they lose their belief in elections in total, because they see that everything getting worse and worse.
Yeah. Okay.
So psychological thing is very important and very hard.
Absolutely. So, is there anything else you'd like to say to me?
Well, as for video observation, I think it would be great if you had video broadcasting from polling stations, at least with overview, just to see, for everyone to be able to watch what's happening, that everything is fair. Like if you are not, if you are afraid of showing faces of voters, you can at least broadcast the counting process, like in Bulgaria. They count it at polling station, and they before counting starts, they turn broadcast on, and it's available for everyone.
Okay, yeah, no, I think, let's say, kind of, on our end, I think the reason why we don't is just that could feel like, I don't know, perhaps an infringement of kind of the right to having like a secret ballot and to kind of making sure that your vote is your own, that you're kind of not kind of too watched doing that. I do understand your points there.
Yes, you know, you can increase trust using this, or maybe it's an easiest way to open doors for everyone to remove this process of verifying by electoral commission. So if you just live here, you might be able to visit polling station during counting and observe by yourself, like just a voter, that everything is fine and everything is counted fine. But I think it's not the case, since you counted not in polling station.
We count it somewhere else anyway. But okay, yes, yeah. I suppose on that front, we like the idea of having an accreditation so that you know that someone's gone through at least some checks, before observation. But thank you very much, Kristen. Thank you very much for joining me today. And yeah, I hope you enjoy observing with us this Thursday. I think it could be a real chance for you to learn firsthand, I suppose, how our system works from the ground level, and then also learn a bit more about the work that we do as domestic observers in this country.
Thank you for the invitation, and I'm looking forward for tomorrow's observation. I think it will be great to compare it to other countries, because it's a very unique system.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The Observations podcast has been brought to you by Democracy Volunteers, the UK's leading election observation group. Democracy Volunteers is non-partisan and does not necessarily share the opinions of participants in the podcast. It brings the podcast to you to improve knowledge of elections, both national and international.